Hi everyone, this is Dr. Moran and this is Module 2. Today I want to talk to you a little bit about creating community in your classroom. So you can see from this slide here, I have a question for you. Should teachers write? So you've read some about this and you have hopefully entered the debate about whether teachers should write or not. We have a lot to do, we have a lot of papers to grade. You could argue that when we're giving feedback to students, we're always writing. But the truth is, we should do more than that. If we want our students to feel connection to us, to feel motivated, then we have to also write. So when I'm teaching writing, I'm always writing in front of my students. Often I'll put up a piece of paper on the dot cam and just write. I cross out, I make mistakes, I stop, I pause, I think. I just let them see what it looks like for someone who they consider to be an expert, what that looks like when trying to teach writing. So we want our students to know that writing is not a seamless, perfect, smooth process, that we as teachers also struggle with writing, that we want to think about things, we screw up the words, we make mistakes, and this is hugely affirming for them. So when you're thinking about what should you write, you can write your thoughts for the day. You can write your worries, your fears. It can be responses to current events. If there's a tragedy or maybe something great like a national championship, you can write about that. Memories always make good things to write about. I love to write about my family, my pets, my friends, gratitude journals. All of these are wonderful things to write about and to model for our students. So when we do this, when we model the type of writing where they're literally seeing inside our heads as we are sketching on the page, then we are building community. And building community is hugely important in the classroom. So let's get rid of this and come to this PowerPoint where I want to talk to you a little bit about the writing workshop classroom. So when you're thinking about how you want to construct your classroom, or maybe you already have a classroom, I like to encourage people to put in a writing center. This can be like, this is a picture from Pinterest, where you have papers available and writing supplies for students if you're teaching in a middle grades classroom, or maybe you have those wonderful baskets on each of the tables. But whatever you do, you have to create this sense that writing is valued in your classroom, not only by modeling it, but by having lots of cool supplies available for your students. So here are some other classrooms. This is a classroom that's actually in Cobb County. It's a middle school classroom. You can see that they have these great baskets on each of the tables. They've created tables out of the student desks. Kids are working in groups, which is another way to facilitate writing, to encourage students to talk to each other while they're writing, to get ideas. For the writing workshop model, they have a ready-made writing group where they can pass their papers back and forth and get feedback. And then the supplies are here in these bins that are on their table. In addition, here, let me move myself. You can have bean bags on the floor. This teacher is sort of writing casually here at his desk. The kids are sitting on the floor in bean bags. Maybe you're lucky enough to have space for a couch. Either way, you want to have a classroom that encourages your students to write, to sit, to relax, a place where the rules are not necessarily applying or the rules are relaxed. And it's a workshop. It's definitely not your strict everybody in a row kind of classroom, but it is a workshop. So think about this. What will your classroom look like? And what do you want to do to encourage your students to write? How will you facilitate that? One of my favorite ideas for the writing workshop classroom is writing about names. I love for students to write about names at the beginning of the year when they're just getting to know each other. The family effect in the classroom can really be hugely affirming. It creates a safe space for a writer's workshop. Um, I like to write about their names because I've actually done some research on this. Students who maybe have prejudiced ideas about names that maybe have an ethnic sound or are outside their own cultural comfort can really have an increased understanding about their classmates. They can approach their classmates in a new way if they learn about the origin of their names. I once had a student who was named Precious Butt. And at first, when called the roll, people would giggle, Precious Butt, her. But then she talked about her name. She wrote about it. She wrote about how her parents named her Precious because she was their only child. They had worked so hard to try to have her. There had been a lot of infertility issues. And then once she was born, she really was someone who was precious to them. So obviously, any name in front of but is going to be a difficult one, but she was grateful for her name. So I think writing about names really fosters this classroom community. It helps create self-awareness in the students so that they don't just make fun of each other and they also value their own name. It decreases stereotyping. If someone has a name that someone else might make fun of, then when they learn how important that name is to the person, then it becomes more of an asset. And less of a negative. And it also promotes connections between home and school. When students write about their names, parents hear about it, they love this. Sometimes people will bring in memorabilia or artifacts that really foster the writing about names. So in this module, you'll see that I've asked you to read over a piece by Sandra Cisneros. This is from House on Mango Street, which is a great book. And she writes about her name. So I want you to have a look at that piece, read through it, and consider how you might use something similar in your own classroom.